but I think we're going to connect real fast before he has a game tonight
Yeah.
with Jersey Shore Blue Claws manager Chris Adamson. Why don't you give him a little intro and let's give him a talk and say hello?
Hey, Chris, how you doing?
Good, thanks, guys. How are you?
Okay.
And we
So, Chris, I got a quick question for you. First of all, congratulations, because you are now the guest who lives the farthest from the radio station.
Yes, we've never had anybody on from Australia, so we're doing good there.
Amazing honor. I'm going to cherish that one.
Forget titles, forget teaching people. Yes, you've been a guest on the show. We appreciate that. Go ahead, Jeff.
So Chris, we read somewhere that in your time during COVID that you were learning Spanish.
Correct.
So
Correct.
so
I was doing my
you don't exactly have a Philly accent. So what exactly does a Spanish language Australian accent sound like?
probably got a bit more of a southern twang, I would think. I guess my tongue's not as malleable, rolling the R's and whatnot. So I need some guys to kind of piece it together for me. But if effort counts, then I'm doing my best, I guess. And there's some other guys that are kind of a security blanket for me, and we try and get the message across as best that we can.
All right, so we've been to a bunch of spring trainings now, and one of the frustrations we always see with the developmental guys is the pitchers don't seem to want to throw strikes, or at least they're not very good when they're younger at throwing strikes. So can you say, I know I'm putting you on the spot, can you say throw strikes in Spanish?
I can't. I can definitely say it in Australian.
Without the expletives in between.
Yeah.
So you mentioned Australian. You're somebody who transitioned from a 130 game player for Adelaide to an assistant coach to a manager over there to over here. Can you talk about the ride that you've been on and how those experiences shaped you before you ended up here with the Blue Claws?
Yeah, it's been pretty crazy, to be honest. So once I finished college, obviously I wanted to keep playing, and affiliated baseball over here didn't really work out. So I was lucky enough to have an opportunity to go down there and play. And, that just really opened my eyes to, what professional sports was like, albeit on a different scale, but being around those guys on a daily basis was huge. And it really just, reiterated to me that there was so much that I don't know. So at that point, I just really tried to, I guess, dig as deep as I could into exactly what you're learning. The craft of the game was a big part. So I used the back end of my playing to kind of just learn as much as I could about the mental side of the game and the little intricacies of it. So that was weird. But then I also saw the writing on the wall. Obviously talent's a big factor, and I was pretty limited in that regard. So I just didn't want to be away from the game. So I approached the front office about my, interest in coaching, and I was very lucky that they were receptive to that. And it gave me an opportunity pretty much straight off the bat as a, assistant coach whilst I was still playing a little bit. And then there was a turnover in manager, and I got given an opportunity with a really young team to see how I went. And it was something that I'm forever grateful for. But I had some opportunities to go over to spring training previous to this with the Texas Rangers, and that just really just solidified that, coaching was something that I really wanted to do and help these young guys on their journey. And yeah, to be here, I got to pinch myself a lot, to be honest with you, given that, I didn't play over here, and, I've just been eternally grateful for the opportunities that I've been presented so far.
This is your first full season with the Jersey Shore Blue Claws. It's hard for me to say that. I'm so used to them for so many years being called the Lakewood Blue Claws.
Jeff's gone to so many games with his son when they were the Lakewood Blue Claws that it's a really hard transition for him.
I got to tell you, Chris, you are in one of the best minor league stadiums in the country. To me, it's one of the best places to go to see a game. So what is it like for you to be coaching there and to have now a full season with these young guys who are, for the most part, this is the first time they're playing this long a season?
Yeah, it's been an unbelievable experience. Like, I've got to see some cities and towns that I ordinarily wouldn't have been able to see. And every time we go back to Lakewood again, that just really solidifies to me how lucky we are to be able to move around in that stadium. And the support staff and front office are incredible there as well, with the lengths that they've gone to to keep us safe from a COVID perspective, and make sure that we're adhering to all the protocols. But just the facility, as you said, is incredible. Like, that stadium is something else, and they get some pretty nice crowds there as well that get really into it. So it's just, it's a pretty surreal experience, to be honest, coming from Australia to be able to see this every day, and it's something that's, it's incredible. But they do a great job there, and it's a beautiful stadium, as you said. So really lucky, and to be a part of a lot of these kids' first full season is really good, and be on that learning journey with them, learning about themselves and the game. We're all kind of riding that wave together. It's been a really special experience for me.
You've had some unique experiences. You're supposed to start last year, then everything slowed down. You're doing Zoom meetings in the middle of the night with your players to stay connected and learning Spanish. Now, instead of your players living with host families, you've got basically the Hotel BlueClaws going on over there, where everybody's over there. Tell us what it's been like with some of these adjustments and stops and starts over the last year, and the excitement to be back at it now.
Yeah, last year was obviously different for everyone, but we were really lucky in that the Phillies looked after us and kept us, engaged. And those meetings, whilst they were at funky hours for me, they were just a way for me to continue to learn about the people and the processes within the Phillies organization, and then start to get to know some of the players that I didn't already know that little bit more as well from a distance. And, it just gave us time, if nothing more, to actually, really evaluate individuals and even ourselves, and identify some of our own weaknesses and try and address them to best prepare ourselves for this year. So it was definitely a little bit clunky, but it's definitely just made everyone so grateful to be able to be on the field every day. Last year, for a lot of people in a lot of different industries, it kind of shook a lot of cages in that what we love and what we get to do can get taken away so quickly. So unfortunately, it took a pretty drastic situation to remind us all of that, but it gives you some pretty nice context. So as I said, we're just really grateful and very thankful for the opportunities that we have. And, it's been a funky ride, but it's one that I wouldn't change for the world.
One of the things that in past seasons you've seen in minor league baseball, especially at the lower levels, is sometimes there's sponsors who house some of the players, and they're living all over the place. This year, I guess one of the benefits of what's happened with COVID is they're all living in one place. Do you see these guys bonding in a way that maybe you haven't seen in the past?
Yeah, it's almost a little bit more of a family atmosphere, so it's, even from little things like helping guys who don't have cars get to and from the field and get around on off days and those things, that's really cool. And for guys to just learn about one another more than just what happens at the field. I think that's something that at times gets lost, and you're kind of just in this baseball bubble. But being around each other on off days and whatnot actually allows them to be able to hang out on more of a social level, which I think is, invaluable, not only in obviously their development as baseball players, but just as people as well. And the guys are just really lucky that the Phillies and the BlueClaws together to actually take care of their housing. It's an extra load that's not there for those guys, and they just know that if you have to move to a different affiliate when you come home, you don't have to worry about looking for a house on a really short-term basis or anything like that. So it's just something that they're grateful for, and I think they are a pretty tight-knit group, which has been really cool to watch.
You've been able to work with players at different stages at Lakewood this year just because of the path that some of them on. So you got some of the younger guys like Bryson Stott that you've worked with, but then at the same time, you've got guys like Sir Anthony Dominguez who are working their way back up and building it up. Can you talk about the different approaches you have to take with the players, and then maybe we'll get into how some of them are looking to you?
Yeah, so one of my big beliefs, just like in coaching and kind of life, is just to try and communicate with people effectively in a variety of different ways. And obviously with the young guys being a little bit earlier on their journey, it's just a matter of helping them to understand what gets them best prepared, so we kind of do a little bit more of the planning and setting things for them, whereas those older guys, Sir Anthony when he was here, or Adam Hazley and guys like that have been in and around the place, they know what it takes for them to have the best chance of success and how to prepare. So it's good for the young guys to see that as well, that how you can almost create your own philosophies or really understand your own body and your own developmental journey to actually see how they work. And that's been something that I think's been really good for the young guys to see what we're doing, from an organizational standpoint. But as you continue to progress, really understanding what it takes to give you the best chance of success. So that's been something that's been really valuable for me to see from an external standpoint, but also for the younger kids to see just what it takes on a daily basis also.
You talked about philosophies. You're a younger coach, so you've had the opportunity to be around people like Gary Jones, Pat Borders, Joe Girardi. What have you taken away from them, or what have you enjoyed learning from them?
But just one of the beauties of baseball is that there's no one way to do anything, which I think it's one of the beautiful things about the game, and just their ability to, be flexible with whether it's the way that they're delivering a message to a variety of different guys, or the way you're instructing and the way you're teaching something is really good. But just understanding that each individual player is different, both not only in the way that they move from a physical perspective, but even just in the way that they learn and the way they prefer to be communicated with. I think that's something that's invaluable. And just being around those guys, and I'm a big believer that I was born with 2 ears and 1 mouth, so when I'm around those guys, I try and do as much listening as I can. And, if there's something that I feel I can put into the conversation, fantastic. But, there's just a lot that I can learn just by listening, and just, being able to action that with guys on all different ends of their journey is something that I think is just unbelievably beneficial. But ultimately, just the importance of being able to build relationships and communicate with people, I think, is invaluable.
Jeff wishes I'd practice that 2 ears, 1 mouth ratio a little more when we do the show together.
Oh, man, yeah. Can you coach Jason?
I'll do my. I'm not a miracle worker though, so just.
You know what? The funny thing is, you're not the first coach and manager we've come across that said that when they've come across me. So I'm kind of getting used to it and don't even get offended by it.
So you've had the opportunity to coach guys like Logan O'Hoppe. What do you see when you see Logan, and especially Bryson Stott, who was just named the Phillies minor league player of the year?
Oh, they're really special. So Stott's obviously super talented, and he had a lot of, obviously being a first round pick, there's a lot of attention on him anyway. But to come here and do exactly what he needed to do in order to go to AA, was just something that was pretty cool to watch. There was a little bit of disappointment initially, but then he just took it as an opportunity to go and, just prove himself, potentially prove to other people, but just the way he went about it. And he probably doesn't get as much credit for just his knowledge of the game, and, his internal clock is one of the better things that I've seen in a young player. And that was, really impressive to see. And Logan, he was a funny one. We've had a long relationship. I actually had him in Australia before I was even hired by the Phillies, which was pretty cool. So to see him and to see what he did this year, to go from a guy that was on the radar to firmly entrenched on that radar, it's just been, really cool to see them. And he's a super mature guy, for a 21-year-old kid. You got to almost remind yourself of his age. It's something that's pretty impressive, but just the way he works and prepares is second to none. I've never seen a young kid like it, and just he continues to do that. He's going to get to play this game for a long time. So I'm just very lucky to be able to be a small part of their journey.
All right. Well, before we really appreciate you giving us the time, but before we let you go, you're spending your summer at the boardwalk, basically. One of the great things about being down at the Jersey Shore is the boardwalk. Hopefully you've gotten a chance to do it. So I got to ask, funnel cake or meat pie?
Oh, look at you.
Oh, that's like Jeff, trying to choose one of your children a favorite.
Jeff asks the difficult food questions on the show.
I would have to say, purely because I'm a patriot, a meat pie, but the funnel cake is, I'm definitely not opposed to that either. It's all been a part of it, and yeah, I've definitely partaken in a whole bunch of that stuff. So it's been really cool, but I'm an Australian at heart, so I'm going to have to say meat pie. So my apologies there. Well,
because of Ben Simmons, it seems to have gotten the meat pie established in Philadelphia. So we're wondering, are the Jersey Shore BlueClaws going to serve meat pie?
Working on it.
I think they're going to have to. I think if we win the next 3 games, if we win out, I think I'm just going to have to mention that, just as a little reward to the guys. Let's get some baked treats into them.
Sounds like you got something to negotiate over for the next time. Chris Adamson, thank you so much for the time. Wish you the best of luck tonight, and great to catch up with you. Thanks so much.
Thanks very much, guys. Appreciate it.
You take care. Jeff, what a fun time to talk to him. What a blast. It just, you get to talk to the managers that get to talk to the players and work so much with them. Tell me your thoughts before we go to Keith.
I just think, as a young player, he seems like a guy that I'd want to learn from about life and about baseball. It just seems like it would be a fun time.